Let's begin with your views on the connection between leadership and culture and how important these culture and leadership has an impact on a firm or a company.
Yeah, sure. Culture, to put it simply, is the unwritten rules, behaviours and ways of working. And it governs how we do things around here, such as how we interact with each other and how we solve problems. So culture influences leadership style that work or fail to work in a workplace. So for example, if your organization's culture is quite risk averse, then it has a high potential to limit the effectiveness of a new leader who's courageous and wanting to implement a lot of large scale change projects. Then leadership in turn influences culture through leaders' behavior. At Zaparas, our culture is built on client service. So whether we're discussing key performance indicators or discussing systems and processes or HR policies and practices, our leadership is demonstrating a client-centric culture, which sets the tone for the rest of the firm. On the contrary, if your organization is highly authoritarian, then the company is going to have some difficulty to foster creativity, to manage change. Because if you understand some of the characteristics of the authoritarian leadership style is that leader speaks, leaders give instruction, and people follows. There are little feedback is sought from the rest of the team, and almost all goals and decisions are made by the manager alone without much consultation with the rest of the team. So you can imagine if you practice that kind of a leadership for a long time, that you will create for sure a culture of resentment and distrust. So I think leadership and culture are really the two sides of a coin that one influences the other, but both actually drive performance.
How do you change a leader's style? How do you change that?
Through development, but the leader needs to first say, I'm willing to do that. You can't change someone if they're not willing for change. So you have to point out to them that there is issue with that behaviour and how the firm and the culture and the people are affected. And then you create that willingness, and that's the start of change.